in the junior lightweight division, and it features this man, Jimrex Jaca, against Hector Marquez. And this should be a good fight as well, because Jimrex Jaca has a record of 25-2. He's got a draw in his record. He has 11 KOs. And Marquez has 21 KOs in his 28 victories. He's only been down one time in his career, and he's never been cut. But he, like the preceding fight, has had trouble in his last few fights. He lost his last fight in January in a unanimous decision to Jorge Solis. Take a look at the tail of the tape there.
Jaca, a lot younger, 9 years younger, and the height and the reach numbers pretty much subservient to the fact that the age. Will age be served here? The youth of Jaca, just 23 years old. He's coming in here also with a lot more momentum. So some key numbers based on this.
Yeah, just a little bit of height, weight exactly the same. You got the youngster Jaca against the experienced professional in Hector Marquez as we take a look at the rules.
10 points to the winner of a round, no standing 8 count or 3 knockdown rule in effect. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell at all. Only the referee can stop the fight, but as you see, physicians do get a lot of input, especially when there's a cut. In the case of an accidental foul, you'll go to the scorecards. After the 4th round is complete, you must have the bell to start round 5. That's when the scorecards would kick in. Before that, it would be a technical draw, and that was a big thing that we were explaining in the last fight because of the cut early on by Peñalosa, but it was ruled a punch by the referee.
So we're still waiting for the fighters to make their individual ways. We expect to see Hector Marquez, and here he is, making his way in. Hector Marquez, 28-16, 21 KOs. He's a good one, but remember, he's been victimized in 8 of his last 10 fights, including the last 4 straight. But all of his losses have been, the full 12 rounds in many cases. And he's a guy that's just barely losing fights, as well as what we saw in our first fight of the evening in Thomas Rojas. So Marquez, we asked him what he has to do, and he says, well, I'm going to have to turn it up a notch because I know Jimrex Jaca is a world-ranked fighter. So here he is, Hector Marquez, from Toluca in Mexico, which is right outside Mexico City.
You take a closer look at him, nickname of Chocolate. Right-handed fighter in the junior lightweight division, those 44 fights, but lost 8 of his last 10. A pro for 13 years. What you have to avoid in his situation is developing what they call the sparring partner mentality and expecting to lose when the fight gets close and when the heat gets on. That's a hurdle that you have to get over, and it's not an easy thing to do, especially against a world-ranked fighter like this guy.
And here he comes, the southpaw, Jimrex Jaca, the bomb from Cebu City in the Philippines. And the crowd comes to life as he begins to be seen here in the arena. Very tough, good boxer, fast. He has power in both hands. Only 36 amateur fights, but he won the Philippine Super Bantamweight champ and a 3-time Bantamweight champion as an amateur. Turned pro in 2000, and he's a former OPBF champion at 122 pounds, the Super Bantamweight. He's a very busy fighter, and he tends to get too excited, he tells us, on some occasions. There he is.
And he got cut in his last fight, said it was an elbow, so he has to avoid that. Here is Jaca, the bomb from right here in the Philippines. Good, strong southpaw, and a 6-year pro. Been very solid and consistent as he moves along and tries to close in on a title fight.
Okay, we're set to get this underway, so let's go to our ring announcer, Ted Lerner. Take it away, Ted.
Ladies and gentlemen, here in Quezon City, Manila, Philippines, we move to our next contest. This one is scheduled for 10 rounds, and it's in the junior lightweight division. Judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system at ringside: Epi Almeida, Captain Ramon Flores, and Arnel Pasion. And when the bell rings, your third man in the ring, referee Sylvester Abainza. Now let's meet the fighters for you. First of all, fighting out of the blue corner, tonight wearing the red trunks. He weighed in at 129 pounds. His fight record, 28 wins, 16 losses, 21 victories, coming by way of knockout. He comes to you from Mexico City, Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm Philippine welcome for Hector Javier Marquez. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, tonight wearing white with blue trim. He also weighed in at 129 pounds. His fight record, 25 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. He hails from Cebu City, Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Jimrex Jaca! Once again, ladies and gentlemen, 10 rounds in the junior lightweight division. Here with your instructions, referee Sylvester Abainza.
Hector Javier Marquez, Jimrex Jaca.
So the referee gives the final instructions. Sylvester Abainza from here in the Philippines. Epe Almeida, Captain Ramon Flores, and Arnel Pasion are the official judges here. Jimrex Jaca, decked out in the white trunks, and in the red trunks is Hector Marquez. Now this should be a battle again. We get the southpaw and Jaca against Marquez, who is a warrior. Forget the records of Mexican fighters I've learned over the years. This is round 1 from Araneta Coliseum in Quezon City and Manila in the Philippines. Bob Sheridan here with Dave Bontempo. We're enjoying it, and if you're a boxing fan, you have to be enjoying it. This is terrific stuff so far. Round 1, scheduled for 10, junior lightweights, 130 pounders. Marquez gets off a pretty good right hand there, trying to get between the gloves of Jaca. Jaca holds the hands high. He's right in front of him, bounces forward.
And we've got the righty-lefty matchup here. So for Marquez, look for the right hand lead. He'll try to get that in. Double left hook. We've already had the heads coming together. That happens when righties and lefties lean forward for position. So we'll have to watch that throughout the fight. And they're leaning in for position. Sometimes when there's no jab landed, the headbutt is the substitute. When you're fighting the lefty, you want to try to get him in a small circle. So again, the right hand lead, double left hook, try to get him spinning, keep your lead foot outside hit.
And especially a problem because Marquez comes forward with his head down and he has head movement. See that head? He's almost like a bull the way he comes forward, and he's the one that's complaining about the head. Now the referee says to him, watch the head. Has he been cut? Yes, it appears like he has been cut.
And let's go over a key rule situation here. Unique rules. If there are 2 fighters whose heads come together, the guy who's not cut usually loses a point, even if you're the one who is the aggressor. So the one who was cut here is Jaca. And based on the pre-fight rules meeting, a point should be taken away from Marquez, and we'll see if it is, if that is indeed a cut.
Well, the referee hasn't indicated to us that he's taken a point away, and I don't see a cut, but he obviously had the corner of Jaca try to look at it, and that's no knockdown, but it certainly has ignited both fighters. Mexican fighter Marquez in the red trunks comes in with his head down like a bull, and there are going to be I would guarantee you there's going to be cuts before this is over. Just the way he moves, and he bobs too, and he sets up punches with his head right in the forehead of Jaca, and Jaca doesn't like it. He's trying to get room.
No, fighters hate when their opponents use their head as a third hand, and that's basically what's happening here. When the guy lowers his head and comes in, that is instead of jabbing his way in, and you'll get hit with the head.
Now, Jaca doesn't like the style of fighting of Marquez at all, and the referee's got his work cut out for him because you continue to see Marquez in red. Even with the looping punch, the head comes in and he sort of wags it. Here he comes in again. See the head, now the back of the head that time, behind the ear, kind of clipped in front of the ear of Jaca. So Marquez does use the head as a weapon.
We talked about that third hand, and that's how he's using it so far. Now for Jaca, what he would like to do is spin, move to the side, and look for the uppercut. That's an excellent weapon against a guy who's coming in with his head down because he is off balance.
Yeah, that's a perfect call, Dave. The uppercut is there for Jimrex. He's just got to throw it. See, the guy's just really bent over at the neck, and the right-hand uppercut or the left-hand uppercut for the southpaw would even be better. Instead, he goes with that left-hand power shot, but Marquez won't give him any room. He just comes in with the head down and throwing punches, but his punches are a bit on the wide side. Now here's Jaca, who comes back at him with his head down. He doesn't like this style at all. Very interesting first round. And Again, I'm not 100% sure there was a cut, but there must have been from all of the body language you see, if we can get a close-up shot in the corner of Jaca to tell whether he's cut or not. And if he was cut, it's not a referee's discretion. It's a rule here. He has to lose a point. I'm going to try to get the referee's attention and see if I can find out for sure.
As you take a look at that area.
Dave, referee Silvestri Abidza has told me definitively, yes, 1 point away from Marquez, and yes, it was a headbutt. So now we have it definitively.
That's good to get that rule noted, and it comes right into play early on in this fight.
So I scored a 10-9 round in favor of Jaca, but now it becomes a 10-8 round.
Yes. Because
of the 1 point deduction. All right, here we go. Round number 2 at Quezon City in Manila, in the Philippines. Araneta Stadium, we've mentioned a couple of times and we'll mention again. This is where Muhammad Ali did battle 31 years ago with Joe Frazier in the Thriller in Manila. I remember that night so well. But the enthusiasm for the new hero in Manny Pacquiao is even more electrifying in this day, or at least it seems so to me. This is round 2. Jimrex Jaca of the Philippines against Hector Marquez.
And you're seeing some adjustment now by Jaca against Marquez coming straight at him. Look for the movement, the side to side. Look for the sweet feet, the good reactions, and the quick shots off the angle. For Jaca now, it is all about angles.
And it's difficult to get him, but although he's showing his muscles too, because he throws Marquez off. He wants to let him know, you're not going to bull me. He opens up, let's fly with the left hand. Backs off Marquez. Marquez has to slip back. Either fighter has been down. Jaca was cut in the first round by a headbutt. And Marquez paid dearly on the scorecards for that. Look at this stuff. This is good. I'll tell you, from the get-go of this morning here in the Philippines, we've had nothing but non-stop action.
I think it happens a lot when you put the lighter weight fighters together. They give more action pound for pound than the upper weight fighters, all throughout boxing.
And with the exception of the real aficionados like a Dan Rafael, most people that are watching in the United States probably don't know these fighters. I mean, certainly they would know the champ whose fight we just described a short time ago, but they certainly probably don't know Marquez and Jaca, but they do know Manny Pacquiao, and that's why they bought this fight. But all this is just a plus for the great action that we've seen so far. And of course, I'm sure most fight fans know Jerry Penalosa and his terrific career, and that he won a unanimous decision in our first fight of the evening. So it's excitement non-stop.
Marquez now with a little bit more urgency. He's been cut by the nose and the angle by Jaca, and then his ability to use some reach and then 4 good shots through in the angle are going to make it very difficult here for Marquez.
Marquez just let rip with a good right hand. And that's the power shot for the right-handed fighter, of course. Looping right hand that time, and Jaca's able to gobble it up and come with that uppercut again. Dave, you mentioned the uppercut and how we should use it coming in, and you're absolutely right. And there it is again. Kind of a half left-hand power shot uppercut.
He is using that to perfection, Colonel, and getting himself some good distance to work with.
Yeah, he's timing it now very nicely. And the reason is the bell ends round 2 that he's able to do that is because his eyes are bright and wide, where Marquez, when he comes in, his eyes are down on the floor. So his vision is great.
We'll get a closer look now. Remember the rules. If you cut the other fighter, regardless of who's at fault, the point has to be deducted. On the inside, heads cut together briefly there. Take a close look. There's the heads. Remember, this is like, in a sense, like no fault in car insurance. All that matters is that there's a cut. And then whoever doesn't have the cut is the one who loses the point. So a tough point lost there by Marquez.
Now, if it was intentional, it's a rule here. It's not referee's discretion. it's 2 points automatically, and it can be more if the referee so decides, but it's automatic 2 points. So those are two rules that are slightly different, and they've come into play here in the early going. But I've got Hector winning the first 2 rounds anyway, but the first round makes a real tough order now for Marquez because he's behind by 3 points starting the third round. It's Marquez in the red trunks to the right of your screen. It's Jimrex Jaca from the Philippines in the white trunks. And this is round 3.
Another warning about the head here and holding on Marquez. Hey, he's a bullying type fighter. He may get a few of these warnings throughout the fight. Again, you see those heads as Marquez comes forward.
Jaca's beating him with a punch down. Blood's coming from the nostril, the left nostril of Marquez. So the power shots of Jaca beginning to take a bit of a toll. He started that and look at these heads bouncing off each other. So this guy, Marquez, is a tough guy to fight. Very tough. And Jaca is much more careful around. He's making his pace, thinking his body. There's that uppercut, Dave. Well, you called it the first round. Use that uppercut to the guy with the head down. And another one. And another one. Look at this. Jaca almost falls and fighting Marquez says, hey, you're not going to make fun of me. Not in this arena. I've come to your backyard, but I'm a Mexican. I'm going to fight.
He gets right in his face, and come what may, Marquez will mix it up. But on the outside and from the angles, it is Jaca's fight.
Well, he loads up that left hand now. Sometimes it's a full uppercut, other times it's kind of a hooking shot. Now look at this. Right hand sets it up on the left hand lead. Bounces off the face of Marquez. And Marquez is just getting outboxed, and quite frankly now he's getting out hustled as aggressive as he is.
Excellent reflexes here by Jaca, the good speed. He has found the comfort zone and how to wage this fight and take the aggression of Marquez and make it work against him.
Look at that body shot downstairs. That time he banged him to the belly. Most of the stuff has been taken to the head throughout the course of this fight. These guys really aren't working the body. They're both head hunting. There's a couple body shots as I say that with 51 seconds to go in the third round.
Hey, the trainers and the purists have to love how Jaca able to land his shot, spin and get out. Now, he doesn't want to be here, but up until now, he's been spinning a lot and getting out.
Yeah, he did it just as you said it. You called it, David.
He's cut 2 for us.
Yeah, he sure is. Nice uppercut by Jaca in the process of all of that. When he's on the ropes and he's in the corner, it's by his choice. He's dictating. They call that ring generalship. See what he slipped underneath that left hand of Marquez. This is a skilled fighter, Jaca. I can see why he's ranked in the, I think he's ranked as high as 15 in some of the sanctioning bodies. And he looks like a guy that's going to have a nice future at 130 pounds. The only trouble is the 130-pound division is a very richly talented division. And that's a nice round for Jaca. How about the action, folks?
And that's a bad cut.
Now it's bad, right. Remember, if this fight is stopped prior to the bell to start the 5th round, on an accidental headbutt, it's a technical draw. In a lot of places, it's a no decision. So we make that distinction, too. It's a technical draw. It goes on the record as opposed to a no decision.
And look at the action on the inside with Marquez bullying forward in the corner. Marquez will get his money's worth even if he's getting outboxed. And there's that terrific uppercut by Jaca. And from a distance, Jaca has been in charge. But now he's rubbing that eye. The cut's starting to get worse, and it looked to be inside the eyelid at first impression. We'll get a closer look later, but he's got a predicament on his hands.
He's got Robert Bobulay, his trainer, and Archie Años trying to work on that cut, and we'll see how successful they are in keeping it closed now. Here we go. This is round number 4. I'm the Colonel Bob Sheridan with Dave Bontempo. Glad that you can be with us on DirecTV In Demand. Across the United States on a Saturday night. It's Sunday morning here, approaching 10:25 as the action continues. But the morning venue has not stopped the enthusiasm of the crowd here in the Philippines. Marquez in the red trunks comes forward continually, and Jaca picks his shots. Excellent boxing. He's kind of muscling him around, making him look awkward. He takes him down on the head. And the referee talks to Marquez. In reality, he ought to say something to Jaca about pushing him down and grabbing his head. Let's be fair about this thing.
As you see, Marquez continuing to try to bully forward and hoping that by walking in a straight line, he can get this fight on his terms. But when Jaca moves like that, he takes the play away and he makes Marquez reload. That's why the speed is such a great intangible.
And you notice, folks, the way Jaca moves out, gets his angle, where Marquez just comes forward. He just comes forward all the time. He doesn't work the angle like Jaca does. Jaca will work it, then he pushes him by him and tries to get out of there. Or in this case, he lets the referee do his job and separate the fighters. Referee pushes Marquez away. He never puts a hand on Jaca and pushes him away. You notice that?
We'll see how that develops over the course of the fight. Now, to take a further point and go all the way with that now is the idea for Marquez. You know what? He won't win many decisions fighting this style. He's hoping for one shot that can change everything around. It's almost as if he's understood that with the movement, he'll lose. But by coming straight forward, you're gambling on one thing, one big shot.
Well, here's Jaca again in front of him, looking to get his angle now. He's stopping and waiting, hoping that Marquez will come forward. And Marquez answers by coming forward. This time he's throwing, and he does land some punches. Gets him with a body shot, tries to clip him upstairs with that left hook of his. Now he bounces off, gets some punching room. Jaca shows his hand speed and shows his foot mobility, which is equally important in this case.
Even though Jaca was able to get out of the corner there and make it look good, he has spent more time in the corner the last couple rounds than he would like to, or that he needs to, because Marquez is getting confidence with Jaca's back. He's better in the center of the ring.
Now they just kind of, they call it mano a mano. They're kind of challenging each other as the Philippines and Mexicans are trying to develop a rivalry, sort of like the Mexicans and the Puerto Rican fighters. The history of the Filipino fighters is tremendous over the years, but we don't know as much about it in the United States as you and I would know, for instance, covering so many fights.
And when these guys make those gestures, they have to lobby with the judges to make the other guy look like he's the one ruining the flow of the fight.
And there's the bell to end the fourth round. Pacquiao fans are jamming this arena, both inside here. There was some concern about whether they'd be able to sell out because they're very scared. Look at this outside. Go, Manny, go. They all text each other. Whenever Manny moves around the city, they text as to where he is. Believe me, folks, we have some film that we're going to show you some footage a little bit later on before the fight to show you what happened when Manny came back to conquering hero. It's unbelievable to see. He attracted more people at his motorcade than the Holy Father, the Pope himself, when he came to the Philippines, and he was pretty popular in this Catholic country. Here we go.
Yeah, if he ran for mayor, they would elect him governor. But here is on the inside where Marquez wants to take his shots and wage the war. This is his best opportunity. Now, Jaca can spin away, but Marquez has chances if he gets close.
I've got Jaca pitching a shutout. In fact, he's got an extra point because of the fact that there was an accidental headbutt so ruled in the first round, and it's a point taken away from the guy who doesn't get cut. So Marquez lost that point in the first round. It became a 10-8 round, so he's behind 40-35 on my score sheet right now, in spite of the fact, you know, the lopsided scoring. It's still a pretty interesting fight.
Because he's coming forward and he's making the style of the fight work. Now he's also bringing out the best in Jaca because this is an ideal situation for him now that he has outside positioning. Early on it wasn't comfortable, the heads were coming together a lot. But now for Jaca it's a more comfortable style.
Neither fighter has been down, neither fighter has been shaken, and they're both cut. Look at the hand speed of Jaca, and I think that's considerable where Marquez's punches, he's a real bull, but they don't have the, you know, the shortness and the directness of the punches of Jaca. So I think Jaca's taking much more of a toll. And he's very quick-handed on the inside.
Hey, you can work all you want, you can do your road work, your conditioning, but you can't invent speed.
Well, he just got a looping right hand through, and that's where conditioning comes in. The eyes are puffy of Jaca, so Marquez is landing some shots. A lot of that has to do with his forehead continually bouncing off the high cheekbones of Jaca, but he has landed his share of shots from time to time. But Jaca is out boxing. See the angles he gets? He'll let him work inside. He'll spin him. He'll try to get him off balance. Feinted a couple of punches there, trying to get Marquez in a position to land a big shot. Marquez is now cut, looks like by the lip, too. And that may be with the heads coming together. but his lip looks to be split. He's cut up around the nose. This is a straight left hand through. Nice uppercut work again.
And when you see a guy move on the angles, it's two things. One, he gets positioning, but two, he makes the other guy load up. He continually stops the guy in his tracks. Now the other guy has to start, set himself, and take a couple more seconds to get into punching position. And by that time, you might have drilled him 4 or 5 more times. That's why speed is such a beautiful asset in this game.
And just as you were describing that, that's exactly what happened. He slipped his body, ducked underneath. How many times have you seen him do that exact move there? Duck underneath the outstretched arm and get back in position and make Marquez look awkward. I mean, he just looks like such a terrific boxer out there because of all his movements and all his angles. And yet Marquez is as tough as nails. He'd like to turn this into a street brawl, and Jaca won't be dragged into the street brawl. But time to time, he'll plant, he'll work on the inside, and set this guy up a clean shot. Wow, the right hand goes. Hector Marquez that time. Now he's got him up against the rope. Watch the movement now of Jaca. Watch how he gets out of here. Throws the uppercut on the inside. He drags him in even more. Stays over so he doesn't get hurt to the face. And he waits for the bell to end the round. Oh, we didn't get to see the second one. You know something? They both admire each other, though, huh?
Well,
Pretty good sportsmanship.
It really is. They've been wailing away and throwing some excellent shots here. And at some point, respect has to develop, and it has.
But the points and rounds are continuing to get put in the bank for Jimrex Jaca. I've got it 50-44 going to the 6th round.
Hey, Marquez can tell the judges to take the rest of the fight off. He's either going to score a knockout or he's going to lose. And here is Jaca. Nice reactions to Marquez coming forward, stepping to the side, and then showing the intangible asset of the speed.
Boy, and noticeable in that replay, Dave, the head down all the time of Marquez. And we pointed out how perfect that would be in the first round for the uppercut, which Jaca obviously has seen, and his corner told him, because we've seen that on several occasions throughout the course of the fight. Marquez isn't going to change his style. He's not going to get angles. He's going to continue to do what he does, a tough Mexican street fighter. And I say that with all due respect to the great Mexican fighters. This guy is some kind of tough, and he's making the tough day of it for himself because Jaca is highly skilled and tough as well.
Funny, that's become one of the great redundancies in boxing, a tough Mexican.
Yeah.
No other kind.
Yeah, right. Not in the boxing world, that's for sure. This is round number 6. Araneta, the Coliseum in Quezon City in Manila in the Philippines. I'm Bob Sheridan. With me, longtime co-commentator Dave Bontempo. And Dave and I love boxing, and we hope wherever you're watching across the United States on In Demand, you're enjoying it as much on Saturday night, Sunday morning for us. Plenty of action. Look at this. Non-stop action from the opening bell of the very first fight. Oh, there's a big shot there. A big squirt of blood came out of the mouth that time. He's cut on the lip, and he's cut inside the mouth as well. It's getting brutal out there.
What you have to love is that Marquez is behind on the card, big, but doesn't take the posture of someone who's behind on the cards. He is still going to force this action, get inside, and hope that some thunder happens for him. Many times we see guys get discouraged after they fall behind in fights.
Well, he's not discouraged. His body language will tell you, hey, just let me fight. And when he does something well, he almost boasts about it. I would tell him, don't boast too much. He's really making it tough for this guy. Because in fact, he feels the ropes. He'll come with an uppercut on the inside. He's used his elbows quite a bit and his shoulder to push him on. The ref hasn't said anything about that. Now he gets hit a couple of times, but nothing too heavy. Because Marquez kind of leaned forward and his shoulders split up when he threw those 2 punches. So there's nothing on them. And Jaca just gobbled them up. He's got to be a little bit concerned about the cut by his eye, but they've done such a great job in his corner, and now we're beyond the point where it makes any difference. Because if they go to the scorecards, he's ahead anyway. And we're in the 6th round. Positions himself for the rolling right hand that doesn't touch anything. He gets him in position to land the left hand. Forward comes Marquez, as he has throughout the course of this fight. Lands something on the inside, and Jaca dances away. He feels the ropes, he gets hit. So Marquez in this little last 15 seconds or so is having a pretty good portion of this round, but it's not going to be enough for him to win the round.
He's having a good segment here. He had the corner work, but the problem is he gets hit with a couple of big shots, and that undoes everything he's done in the last 40 seconds.
It undoes it, doesn't it?
It does undo it. It does undo it.
Gotta get on you, JJ boy. The 6-round action is terrific. Terrific stuff. I mean, this is really a boxer's the bell sounds. These guys admire each other because they're just working as hard as they can. They pound daylights out of each other, and they sort of congratulate each other. And this is no sparring session. Whoa. I have Jaca winning every single round on my score sheet. And because of the boxing style and the contrasting styles, it doesn't make any difference even what the score is. It's just a nice fight to watch.
This is boils down to, for Marquez, can he get the lucky shot in and do it that way? The scorecards are not going to be for him. But that being said, he brings a lot of heart to the table here and tries to back up Jaca. Here he gets outworked a little bit, but then gets a few shots in of his own. Jaca didn't move out of here as swiftly as some other time, and so Marquez can have some moments.
Dave, what do you do in this case? You're way behind. Do you grab him? You throw him down? Do you try to make it more of a serious street brawl? Do you, I don't mean get dirty, but you got to do something to get Jaca now off his game plan because nothing's working for Marquez. Marquez hasn't changed from the get-go. He hasn't adjusted, and Jaca has.
Yeah, he's done everything he can with the exception of throwing a low blow, which is always a risky thing to do, especially in any type of a deliberate fashion. You get inside, you hope that there's something you can do to unnerve your guy. Hey, maybe if the heads come together, Jaca gets rattled. But Marquez just has to keep the fight in front of him and keep winging.
And it's funny you say that because in the very first round, when Jaca did get cut, I don't know if he got rattled, but it certainly gave him an adrenaline flow, and he came out really firing shots. And now it's just a real sort of strategic chess match right now with Jaca wanting to show his boxing skill. His hands are down a little bit, but there's been a pretty good pace to this fight, and there certainly is a team factor here. They're picking their shots to fight now in the 7th round.
Watch how when Jaca just moved his hands, he wasn't even moving his feet, froze Marquez long enough to make Marquez stop and have to reload. Another advantage of the speed of Marquez going against, even when Jaca wasn't punching.
Jaca now has a look of confidence on his face, almost a cocky look on his face, a confident look, and I wouldn't advise to start playing with a street brawler like Marquez. You're out in front of the fight. Don't take any chances. This is a nice fight for you. Don't infuriate. Let the sleeping dog lie, so to say. Now look at this.
Yeah, you can see that boxing is an emotional sport, and when you start to do well, it's hard not to show that look on your face, especially a young fighter.
It's very hard, but it's ill-advised sometimes because it has ignited Marquez. Marquez doesn't seem to mind to lose because he worked so hard, but he doesn't want to be made little of, and that's pretty much what Jaca was in the process of doing. Now all of a sudden he didn't have that look in his face anymore.
The smiling face is gone, and Marquez has enjoyed a good last half of the last round and this round.
I'm in the process of maybe giving this round, and look at this, because of kind of, I don't know, I want to say if he was hot dogging or what, but Jaca's cut by the left eye is open up again.
And he's rubbing it, which doesn't help.
And that is in a bad spot because it's in the eyelid, as opposed to the cut that we saw in the last fight that we described for you. And the fight's all over. The fight's all over. Now we assume they're going to go to the score sheets. We haven't heard that that's a... Yeah, the referee is collecting the score sheet, so... While Hector Marquez has bowed up. Now is a good time to explain the cut rules here.
After the 5th round, if a cut that's been called a butt earlier in the fight is the reason for a fight being stopped, then you go to the scorecards, and whoever is ahead at that point is the winner. That's why we explain that rule, because the 5th round is a critical juncture in the fight. And so we're beyond that point, and presumably now we go to the scorecards. However, Marquez doesn't believe that to be the case at this point.
Well, Marquez doesn't know the rule, and if, in fact, that he didn't, the referee ruled that this fight is stopped because of the initial headbutt, then it's going to go to the score sheets, and in our score sheets, Jaca's going to win this fight. And I don't think Marquez realizes that. He believes he's won the fight. We're going to have to wait and see this as you look at the replay.
Heads coming together here. We talked about that earlier. The cut gets worse by Jaca, and Marquez doing his best work up till this point. Last couple rounds, Marquez starting to come on, and that cut deepens. And so, this is going to go back to the scorecards because it's the same place that cut was opened up earlier. Now, if it's a different cut, it's a TKO, but if it's the same thing that caused the problem earlier, which it is, then they'll go to the scorecards.
They definitely go into the scorecards because it's close enough, and that's the danger of the headbutt and why we asked at that time. Remember, we called the referee Silvestri Abinza over here and asked him if that was a headbutt. He said yes, and therefore the point came away. And even if it's in the same area now, it's unfortunate for Marquez because, at least unofficially, he's behind on the score sheets and he's going to lose this fight. But it was a pretty darn exciting fight. Both guys in great shape, and you just knew the way his head was tucked that we were going to see cuts during the course of this fight. And as a matter of fact, both guys were cut in the fight.
And that's why it's important to get your points early in a fight.
We're waiting for our ring announcer, Ted Lerner, to gather up the score sheets. Well, let's take a look at the recap, David.
In the earlier rounds, watch these heads coming together as the inside work by Marquez. Then we see the outside work, the movement by Jaca, where he starts to take command of the fight. Marquez, gritty, gutty, determined, but the angles and the speed of Jaca asserting themselves as the rounds roar along. Now, Marquez starting to get better in the last half of round 6 and then going forward into round 7, some of his best work, and he had Jaca in a sense of retreat. But the intervention of the cut is going to short-circuit this fight, and that is a shame for Marquez because that was his best momentum of the fight right there. And there's the cut, which has caused this to go to the cards.
Okay, we have Jaca winning in our score sheet. Let's see how the official judges have it. Here's our ring announcer, Ted Lerner. Ted?
Ladies and gentlemen, on the advice of the ringside doctor, referee Abinza calls a halt to the bout. The cut was ruled that it was caused by a headbutt. Thus, we go to the scorecards. All three judges score the bout 60-53 for your winner by technical decision at 2:08 in the 7th round, Jimrex Jaca.
Okay, so winner by technical decision, and Davey, you and I both had it 60-53, and all three judges had it 60-53, so that's the way it came down, exactly the way it should have come down. Well, our main event is coming up. Don't go anyplace. Whoa. What a night of boxing here for you people watching. What a morning of boxing for us. Jerry Penalosa wins a unanimous decision over Tomas Rojas in our very first fight, action-packed. This one, a lot of action, good boxing in it. Jimrex Jaca wins a technical decision after 6 rounds of boxing after being cut in the first round of the fight, ruled by a headbutt. So they get it right all the way.
Right from the rule interpretation to the scoring.